Hello again, everyone. Welcome to Washington Gun Law TV. I'm Washington Gun Law President William Kirk. Thanks for joining us, coming to you from Washington's premier indoor shooting facility. Of course, that's Security Gun Club right here in Woodinville, Washington, Virginia. I guess it's time that we need to have a talk. Now, when you got a channel called Washington Gun Law, and you start talking about Virginia, and it's not Washington, D.C. gun law, that's right, I'm all the way out on the other side of the country, there's really only a couple of ways you make it onto our channel. First, you've done something so totally awesome for your citizens to preserve their inalienable rights that we just feel the need to just give you a big ol' attaboy. That's not what happened here. The other way you can end up on this channel, of course, is just to do something so rotten and sinister to strip your citizens of their otherwise inalienable rights that we need to warn everyone nationwide. That's what we're going to be talking about today. So today, let's spend a few minutes and let's talk about, is Virginia the next state to ban assault weapons? Okay, Virginia and everyone else, this is what we're talking about. You can talk about House Bill 2. You can talk about Senate Bill 2. It doesn't really matter. They both do the same thing. What is that? Well, they basically are Virginia's new and improved assault weapon ban. That's right. Now, there is about 3 different models that have been used around the country for those states who support civilian disarmament in order to ban what we typically call semi-automatic rifles. Now, I know a lot of people, once I start using the term assault weapons, you all start crapping yourself, you all start freaking out. The reason I'm using that term is because that happens to be the term that's used in the statute. And you see, when you're trying to actually educate people about a statute, it's kind of important to use the language that is actually in that particular law. But for those of you who think that I should just call this semi-automatic rifles, you need to understand something, Virginia, that this law bans a lot more than just semi-automatic rifles, because it bans a lot of pistols and also a lot of semi-automatic shotguns. Now, the method of banning here is very similar, almost identical. Actually, it's verbatim the same as what we passed in Washington State last year, which means that the statute, if enacted into law, would read, any person who imports, sells, manufactures, purchases, or transfers an assault firearm is guilty of a Class 1 misdemeanor. And so you will see the word that is excluded from there is possess. And so because the word possess is excluded, what that means is that, yes, there is a grandfathering provision. Anybody who currently owns one of these firearms would be allowed to keep it. The ability to purchase any more in the state of Virginia after the effective date of that law, however, becomes legally impossible. Obviously, the proposed enactment date of this legislation is July 1st of 2024, because the definition of an assault firearm will also include firearms that were manufactured after July 1st, 2024. In addition to all of that, if you were found guilty under this new assault weapon ban, you would be precluded from possessing a firearm at all. The bill states, any person who knowingly and intentionally purchases, possesses, or transports any firearm following a misdemeanor conviction for a violation of this section is guilty of a Class 1 misdemeanor. Now, how does the state of Virginia intend on defining assault weapons? Well, I said there were several different models, and what Virginia has chosen is the California/Washington model, which is the single feature. That is, they basically lay out a platform of a firearm, and then they say if it has any one of these features, it now constitutes an unlawful assault weapon. Of course, all of those features are things that you see on all of these firearms in general. So what you're going to see now for an assault-styled rifle is the definition is a semi-automatic centerfire rifle that expels a single or multiple projectiles by action of explosion of a combustible material that has the ability to accept a detachable magazine and has any one of the following characteristics. So a semi-automatic centerfire rifle that has a detachable magazine and then has any one of these characteristics would constitute an assault weapon under this Virginia law. 1. A folding, telescoping, or collapsible stock. 2. A pistol grip that protrudes conspicuously beneath the action of the rifle. 3. A second hand grip or a protruding grip that can be held by the non-trigger hand. 4. A grenade launcher. 5. A flare launcher. 6, a sound suppressor. 7, a flash suppressor. 8, a muzzle brake. 9, a muzzle compensator. 10, a threaded barrel capable of accepting A, a sound suppressor, B, a flash suppressor, C, a muzzle brake, or D, a muzzle compensator, or 11, any characteristics of like kind as enumerated in clauses 1 through 10. So like I said, just about anything in your AR, AK platform would clearly fall under this category of firearms. But wait, you see, Virginia, there's more, because there's also pistols that would be excluded now as being unlawful assault weapons. They include a semi-automatic centerfire pistol that expels a single or multiple projectiles by action of an explosion of a combustible material, that has the ability to accept a detachable magazine and has any one of the following characteristics. 1, a folding or telescoping or collapsible stock. 2, a second hand grip or protruding grip that can be held by the non-trigger hand. 3, the capacity to accept a magazine that attaches to the pistol outside of the pistol grip. 4, a shroud that is attached to or partially or completely encircles the barrel and that permits the shooter to hold the pistol with the non-trigger hand without being burned. 5, a threaded barrel capable of accepting A, a sound suppressor, B, a flash suppressor, C, a barrel extender, or D, a forward hand grip, or 5, any characteristics of like as enumerated in clauses 1 through 5. Please remember that amongst that then would be your normal handguns with threaded barrels, because that would also constitute an assault weapon under this law. But guess what, Virginia? We're not done there yet, because there's also shotguns included in this. Yes, that's right. Shotguns are now assault weapons too if this becomes law. The law would read, a semi-automatic shotgun that expels a single or multiple projectiles by action of an explosion of a combustible material that has one of the following characteristics. 1, a folding, telescoping, or collapsible stock. 2, a pistol grip that protrudes conspicuously beneath the action of the shotgun. 3, the ability to accept a detachable magazine. 4, a fixed magazine capacity in excess of 7 rounds. Or 5, any characteristic of like kind as enumerated in clauses 1 through 4. And in addition to that, any shotgun that would hold up to 7 rounds or more of the shortest ammunition acceptable for that firearm, yeah, that too would be considered an assault weapon under this new Virginia law. The law also prohibits the sales of any of these prohibited firearms under Virginia law, which means the private transfer of any of these items becomes legally impossible. Now listen, this bill has passed out of both the House and Senate along party lines, which means the next stop is Governor Glenn Youngkin's desk. Now, there has been a lot of talk about Governor Youngkin having future presidential aspirations and being a big player in the GOP moving forward. This will certainly be a very critical crossroads in his political career. If he chooses to veto this legislation, which he should, there clearly is not enough votes to override that in the Virginia House or the Virginia State Legislature, and so that veto in all likelihood would stand. This is going to be a real test for Governor Youngkin. We will keep you guys posted. Again, we'll go ahead and link up both House Bill 2 and Senate Bill 2 down in the description box below, so if you guys want to geek out on it for yourself, you can do so. If you got any other questions about this or anything else related to what's left of our Second Amendment rights, you guys should know how to get a hold of Washington gun law by now. If you don't, that's okay. That information is also down there in the description box. And then finally, let's everyone remember that part of being the lawful and responsible gun owner, like we talk about all the time here, is to know what the law is in every situation, how it applies to you in any instance that you may find yourself. Until next time, thanks for watching and stay safe.